It's an NCAA towel. From Mississippi State, we're joined by head coach Vic Schaefer, student athletes Dominique Dillingham, Brianna Richardson, and Victoria Vivians. Would ask Coach Schaefer to make an opening comment, then we'll take questions to the student athletes, followed by questions to the coaches.
Well, obviously, we didn't play very well, and I think you got to give Connecticut all the credit for that. They played extremely well today, and I'm disappointed that we didn't play better. And I'll take full responsibility for that. At the end of the day, it's my job to have our team ready. And obviously, we probably weren't ready. And so as a head coach, I'll wear that responsibility and make sure that we do better the next time. But I'm proud of my team. I got a really good team. We just didn't show the country or you today really how good we are. And again, that's my responsibility, and I'm disappointed in that. But again, you got to take your hat off to Connecticut. They are really, really good. They're well coached. As I told y'all yesterday, they're defensively, they should get a lot more credit for how good they are defensively, because they are really, really tough in that area. I thought we got some good looks early, and what happens against them is if you don't make those shots early, you get a little dejected, and then it affects you on the defensive end, and the next thing you know, it's getting away from you. But I thought we had good looks early. They just didn't fall. And so I'm proud of our team. I'm proud of these girls. I love them to death. I'm not trading them for anybody. And you know what? We'll be back.
Okay, we'll begin a period of questions for student athletes. Again, if you could give your name and affiliation and try to direct the question to a particular student athlete. We'll start on this side with Adam.
Congratulations on a great season, ladies. For all three of you, Coach talked yesterday about UConn's spurt ability, their runs. At the beginning of the game, was it like you feared it could be when you guys weren't making shots and the score started to mount?
I think just we were turning the ball over. They were getting easy, fast break layups. So I think everything started to pile up. So it kind of got away from us. And, I mean, we did start missing shots, so that kind of led to that too.
Is anybody else with questions for student athletes? Marvin down here in the front.
Marvin Chambers, Houston Sun, and Women Whoop Wall. Vivian, how difficult is the shoot with Connecticut in the first quarter? Because it seemed like you guys was missing shots, but the length, was that a factor?
Me shooting in the first quarter and like the team shooting, they are a great defensive team. They get a lot of deflections, but I feel like we was kind of rushing our shot. Well, I was rushing my shot when we first started, so they consist of the shots not falling. And their defense, they're very long, so that kind of messed us up too.
You get a microphone in the front here, please. Microphone to Doug, please.
Doug Feinberg, the AP. Dominique, did you guys watch last night at all and get any sort of like hope of, you know what, South Carolina went down, Notre Dame went down, we could do it this morning? Or did you guys not even pay attention to that?
We definitely watched last night, and just seeing the smaller team, the lower seeds get upset the higher seeds. It definitely motivated us, but like Coach said, UConn was watching the same games, and in the back of their minds, they're thinking we don't want to get upset. So they were definitely ready for us too. So.
We have any other questions for student athletes? Carl?
Carl Adamek, Journal Inquirer. Dominique, Connecticut hasn't lost to a first-time opponent in many years. What is different from watching them on film, scouting reports and everything, and actually seeing them on the court and what they do?
I think the game is just a little faster, and then when you turn the ball over and up top, the game can get out of hand really quickly. They get fast break points, and the transition game doesn't get enough credit.
Right over there.
Mike Bonner from McLaren Lander. Dom, just getting this season, 28 wins for you as a team, getting the Sweet 16 second time in program history. I know it's tough right now, but what do you kind of take from this season when you look at the big picture of it?
This season was a great season for us, and, we've done a lot of great things, and this game we can just take experience, We got to the Sweet 16. We played the best team in the country. So next year we have this in the back of our minds, we don't want to have this feeling again.
Adam?
Brianna, Coach talked yesterday about Brianna Stewart blocking, I think, 404 shots and altering maybe another 500. You tried to take the ball aggressively to her at times. The whole team did. Can you just talk about how she was a defensive presence and affected a lot of shots?
Like Coach said, she does have 400-some blocks, so we knew either she was going to alter our shots or just have an impact because she was in the paint. But, we still had to attack. So, she's a great defensive player, everything like that. But, I don't know. She's just great. I don't know. She had a couple more blocks today. I don't know what she wants to say.
We have any other questions for the student athletes? If not, we'll dismiss the student athletes. Thank you. Congratulations on a great season. And we'll continue with Coach Schaefer for a period of questions for him. John?
Vic, John Altavilla from the Hartford Courant. Coach, in the context of what you've seen as a head coach in women's basketball, how would you describe this UConn team?
Well, today it felt like I was playing a WNBA team. That team right there probably finishes, I don't know what team in the league, they can't compete with. They got all the pieces. So it's a frustrating proposition trying to deal with them because they are so multidimensional. But again, they're so good on both ends of the floor. They have the complete package, and, they play like they played today. There's not anybody in the country that can beat them. They're really good. But again, I think what separates them is there's lots of great teams across the country that have a lot of All-Americans. Coach Auriemma gets the most out of his. He doesn't let them settle. He develops them to the fullest. And that team is developed to the fullest. They're good. And they I think we're pretty good, y'all, and we looked awful today. Like I said, I'm disappointed in so many ways, but I just thought we'd play better, but we didn't, and they had everything to do with that.
Front row here.
Hi, Coach Kevin Baxter, LA Times. I want to take that question a little bit further because I've been crunching numbers on UConn, and it's amazing. Is it time for someone to finally say, this is one of the greatest college programs in history? Maybe in any sport, but you keep running into the wooden thing, and it's not man, it's a different era. Are they one of the elite programs of all time?
No question. And because it is a different era, I think it makes it even more difficult. There's more parity today in the game than ever before. Go back to the Wooden era, there wasn't that much parity as there is right now. And because there is so much parity, he continues to do it. Don't worry, he's going to get another great recruiting class. He's going to continue to recruit well. There's going to be another lineup like the one that played today, And so, it ain't going to change. And again, I just think that you have to give them their due. Whether you like it or not, you got to give them their due. They're good, they've been good, and they're going to continue to be good. He's not running out of steam or ideas or juice. He's got a great staff. And that's the challenge for the rest of us is to compete. I told my team, I'm not chasing. There's 2 teams in my league now within the first 4 years that I haven't beaten. So I've caught just about everybody. I want my team to chase that team. That's the next step to me for us. I want to chase that team. And so I think they're outstanding, and I think it makes it even harder in today's world.
We got Adam, and then we got John Nash.
$64,000 question. How do you motivate your kids to use this 60-point loss as a challenge? It's going to be disappointing, I know, obviously, but so they get to the point where they can challenge Connecticut. How much of a hurdle is that going to be?
I don't think it's a big hurdle. I think I've got competitive kids. I think kids right now in that locker room are hurt. They're disappointed. They know they didn't play. We didn't play very well, and again, I think those kids will remember that. The film doesn't lie. We'll watch film at some point. I wish we could go watch it tomorrow and go back to work tomorrow, because I think this team would really grow and learn from it in a very short period of time, much like what happened at Kentucky, this year. So I've got great kids. They care deeply. They're disappointed like their coach. And so I think it'll be fairly easy to grow and get better from this.
John Nash from the Norwalk Hour, Coach. You talked about how the game got away from you. Dom talked about it. In that first quarter, as you had to burn those 2 timeouts, what did you say to the kids to try to keep their I guess morale up and not get overwhelmed by what was happening?
Well, again, I thought we got good looks early, so I was just trying to encourage them to keep running some offense and keep taking those good shots. I thought it really got away from us when our point guard play became a little careless, and we were coming down, and we had back-to-back, 2 or 3 maybe in a row, really bad decisions. And again, I know my team. Everybody knows their team. You see their heads kind of starting to hang a little bit, and the disappointment. And again, I've got a competitive group, so you just try to stay positive with them and keep trying to get them to. I mean, at some point, shots got to fall, but as long as you're getting good shots, you got to keep doing that. Now, defensively, we weren't back, but we were turning the ball over, and when you're turning the ball over against that group, it is a track meet. And, it becomes then it's very difficult to get back. They're like piranhas on a roast. When they go in transition, you can't get the bone out of the water fast enough. So it's a difficult deal to deal with.
Roger, and then Doug.
Roger Cleveland from the Waterbury Republican American newspaper. Along the same lines of Doug's question to Dominique, when you were watching last night, did you just get a headache or a bad feeling that, oh no, UConn's going to get woken up now?
Dang right. I thought it worked against us. I didn't think it would work for me. I felt like this was the worst thing that could have happened. And, I told my staff that. I said, it's the worst thing that could happen is 2 seeds, 2 number ones getting upset, because I know Gino will make sure them kids are ready. Those kids will be ready. And, I think we got their A game today. And I told my girls that. I said, hey, we're going to get their A game. And I wouldn't want it any other way. And we got it.
Ian
Bethune, SB Nation, UConn blog. Yesterday you talked about the speed of your point guard. How did Mariah's speed compare to hers?
Remember now, I recruited Mariah from school where I was at previously, so I had already seen her up close and in person. And, tonight she really didn't have to do a lot of scoring. She was a facilitator and defender, and she was very good at both of those. She was disruptive, and, again, she's a great one for them. She does exactly what he wants her to do. So, yeah, up close and in person is always, a little faster, a little quicker, as the film doesn't show that a lot of times.
Jim?
Jim Fuller, New Haven Ranger. You talked about getting their A game. How impressive is it that they always bring their A game? It seems like there's no let up. There's no, okay, well, this is a game we know we can win. They bring it no matter who they're playing, no matter where it's being played.
Again, I think that's the challenge of any head coach, and you have to give Gino credit for that. He doesn't allow them to not bring their A game. Y'all have covered them. If certain players have not brought it, he doesn't hesitate to sit them. And, I've tried to do the same thing with mine. And that's part of coaching and teaching. And, again, they're a very mature basketball team, obviously, now, where they are right now. And I think they realize their numbers are dwindling as far as their opportunities. This is it. And obviously they're highly motivated to do what hadn't been done, and that's win 4 back-to-back-to-back, like in all 4 years that they've played. So they don't need any more motivation. They don't need any number ones getting upset or anything like that. I think they've got plenty in that locker room.
Let's take 2 more questions, Coach. This gentleman and the gentleman in the front.
Mike Bonner from the Clarion Ledger. With the success you had this season, there weren't a whole lot of games like this for you. Didn't play a team like this all season. What did you tell the girls after the game? What did you tell them?
Just told them that that's who we're chasing. To me, that's what I want. I want my team to be Connecticut. I think we're at a stage now in our program where that's who I want us to chase and try to emulate. And I was proud of our group in the fourth quarter. I know we were going against, our kids were out there competing, and I was proud of how they competed and came off the bench and competed. And so I was proud of my point guard, my freshman point guard. I thought little Jazz came in and was really good, and she'll grow and get better from this. So, again, we're disappointed. I know my girls are heartbroken about it. I am too, but again, I want them to walk out. I told them, walk out of this locker room. You can be disappointed, but you walk out with your head hung high. We won 28 games this year with a really, really young, inexperienced basketball team. So I've been around long enough. I can see past what just happened the last 2 hours, and I'm not going to let that cloud my judgment or cloud the success this team had this year.
Last question right in front.
Coach Howard Magdell with Excel Sports. Just in terms of Brianna Stewart's afternoon, when someone has that type of success, sort of, across the board skills-wise, against one of the best defensive teams in the country, what do you think we learned from that today? And just in a broader sense, what do you think it says about what kind of player she is just historically?
Well, when you get a player of her size that has the skill set that she has, there's not a handful of those in the country. So, that in and of itself is hard to deal with. Most teams probably have to put a 4-player on her, and she's not a 4-player. She's a guard. So, but I think when you're dealing with her, and she's scoring and making 3 balls, she's going off the bounce and shooting it from 15 in the mid-range game. Then when she gets to the rim, she can finish over everybody. You can't get a butt on her to rebound. She goes to offensive boards. And so, again, you're talking about one of the elite players in the country. I mean, she's probably in all likelihood the best player in the country. And so it's hard to deal with all of that. So you're going to have to find a player on somebody else's team. Tonight it was mine, tomorrow whoever's it's going to be. But you got to find somebody that can deal with all those things. You take away the 3 ball, she'll take you off the bounce. You back off of her, she'll make the 3. If you put somebody that's 6 foot tall on her, she's going to take you down there and post you up. I mean, it's a nightmare. So, I mean, it's hard to deal with a player like that. And then, oh, by the way, you know what? She plays pretty good defense. So you can try to attack her all you want, or you can not try to attack her and let her go to help where she's even better. So what do? Do you try to engage her and make her guard the ball, or do you engage everybody else and let her be a help defender? It's a challenge. And again, that's what great players do. That's what great teams have. But with this particular team, they are multidimensional with multiple players that can hurt you. And again, I think that's what the world hasn't seen on a consistent basis other than here over the last few years. He doesn't have 1 or 2 good ones. Year in and year out. He's got a bunch of good ones. And but again, he let those kids settle. He demands from them. He makes them and gets the very best from them. And that's why they're the team that they are. That's why nobody can hardly touch them.
Coach, thanks a lot. Congratulations on a great season.
Thanks for all y'all do for our great game. I appreciate everybody being here. And one last time, praise the Lord and go Dogs.
The Mississippi State locker room still has a few moments of being open, and the Connecticut locker room is now open for their 30-minute period. We'll be with the Connecticut people on the stage shortly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I told. Okay, with the Connecticut head coach and the Connecticut student athletes coming in, once again, we'll start with an opening comment from the coach, questions to the student athletes, and then questions to the head coach. Okay, we're joined by UConn head coach Gino Auriemma, student athletes Morgan Tuck, Brianna Stewart, and Katie Lou Samuelson. We'll start with an opening statement from Coach Auriemma.
Thanks, Mike. You know, there's really not a lot that that you can say when you know, when you start the game the way we started it. It's the same thing I said to our players in the locker room. You know, we've got some seniors that have played a lot of games, and they've played in a lot of big games, and when they show up and play the way they played today, it's hard for anybody to play against us. You know, I'm probably as surprised as anybody about the final score, but when it's like that, when we're playing the way we played, and defensively, it just, I mean, our offense was one thing, but the way we played defense today was pretty magnificent. I'm really proud of them.
Okay, we'll start with questions for student athletes. We'll start with John. If you could direct a question at a particular student athlete, that would be helpful.
John Altavilla, Hartford Current. Stewie, I assume you guys were watching television last night.
Definitely.
So what did you think about it?
Well, I think we have a group message going, obviously, and, you know, just saying to everyone that, you know, that's a reminder. It's a reminder that, you know, you can't take any days off, any games off, and, you know, crazy things happen in March, and we want to make sure that, you know, when we came out today that that wasn't going to happen with us.
We'll go with Rich and the gentleman in the front row.
For all you guys, Rich Elliott, the day. What is it about your team in general that allows you to play this well at this point in the season?
I think we just have a really good focus level. I think right now we know that it's the most important time, and, you know, we don't think about anything else but, you know, what we have to do in the game. So I think that's what allows us to be really successful, is that, you know, all 5 people on the floor, everyone on the bench, they're all on the same page.
Front row, then we'll go with Jeff.
Howard Megdal, Excel Sports. Brianna, for you, sort of a two-parter. You've spoken as sort of a larger theme for the season as a pursuit of perfection. And so when you look at the numbers like today, I mean, 8 of 10, you know, 14 rebounds and 13 and a half, you know, everything, every sort of stat line grab. Do you feel like this was the closest you've come to sort of that like platonic ideal when it comes to a game?
You know, I think that when you're a player and you're trying to go out and play really well, you want to contribute in all different ways, and, you know, being able to be active on the boards, that was the most important thing, because Coach said in the locker room before the game that, you know, we have to control the glass. They were a great rebounding team, and we did that. And then, you know, some days shots fall more than others, and they did that today. But, you know, I think working whether shots went or not, working to do other things.
Jeff.
Jeff Jacobs, Hartford Current. Katie Lou, first of all, I wanted to ask about what you thought of your sister's bank shot last night, and also how much did you think the team was motivated or affected by the stunning upsets last night?
Well, I got super excited when she banked in that three. Mo's my roommate, she can tell you. She was laughing at me the whole time. But I think today our whole team, actually, I kind of forgot your second question.
How motivated or alarmed were you by the two of the top seeds getting knocked off?
Well, like Stewie said, it just reminded us that teams are coming out to play in March, and it doesn't really matter what seed you are. Everyone is going to play their best and wants to upset the number one seed, which we have a target on our back, and we know that. So it just kind of reminded us that we have to come out strong and show them why we are the number one seed.
We'll go with Marvin, and then we'll go with Rich.
Marvin Chambers, Houston's Sun, women's hoop world. Brianna, you always talk about this team being locked in and focused. Every round, you guys seem to be really joking around, loose. Did it bother you that a couple of teams lost last night? And what was really special about this team than the other years previously?
Well, I don't know if it bothered us that other teams lost last night. That's really not in our control. But, I think with this team, what's special is the fact that, we have such great chemistry on and off the court. And also we know when, there's a time to be serious and there's a time to have fun. And we walk that fine line. And, in March, this is when you have fun.
We'll go with Rich, and then we'll go with John, and then we'll go with Jim.
Stewie, when you look at that start you guys had today, what was the game plan coming out, and did you accomplish everything you wanted to in that first quarter?
Well, the game plan is similar to what every single game plan is. We want to disrupt them defensively. Victoria Vivians is a great player for them, and we wanted to make sure it was really hard for her to get shots, and we had to do that with team defense. And it seemed like early we were able to get a lot of open shots, get out in transition, and from there everything seemed to be flowing.
John.
Morgan, does the team have enough self-awareness when you're on the floor to understand how well you're playing, like you did in that first 15 minutes? Do you ever subconsciously do you think, wow, we really got it today?
Yeah, I think we know when we're playing well because it feels better. It's more fun. Everyone's involved, everyone's contributing. So I think as a whole, we don't have to necessarily say, oh, we're doing really well, but I think everyone can just feel that it's a more positive vibe.
Jim Fuller, New Haven Register. Brianna, previous Mississippi State coach said when you guys got out in transition, it was like piranhas on a roast. So my first question, have you ever had a piranha on a roast? And my second question, can you just run me through the mindset when you guys are all just flying down the floor like that?
Well, I've definitely never had a piranha on a roast. I don't think I would like to try that. I'm not sure. But I think that, we like to get out in transition. And it seemed like, every time they came down the court, when we were on defense, they weren't getting what they wanted. They were turning the ball over or, getting a block or getting a rebound in. And we were just out hustling them. We were running past them to get up the court in transition. And you could tell that they were tired.
Any last questions for student athletes? If not, we'll dismiss the student athletes and we'll begin a period with Coach Auriemma. We'll start with Doug and then Mike.
Coach Doug Feinberg, the AP, what were you thinking last night watching those games and seeing teams that people thought had no chance of losing that early go down so quickly?
We were at dinner, and I managed to see some of the Syracuse game, and I think our reaction was probably the same as everybody else's. Wow, this is pretty amazing. I didn't get to see any of the other games. I didn't watch any of them. The only thing I watched was, I watched some Mississippi State stuff, but it's it's maybe that time now when things like this are capable of happening, that things like this didn't used to happen in the past. And maybe it's a good thing. The thing that I tell our players all the time is the top seeded teams, when they don't win, it's because the upset happens because the other guys play really, really well and you don't play your A game. Because they need your help most of the time. And I think it was an awakening for our players and for everybody else that if you show up in March and you don't bring your A game and your guys aren't focused and locked in and playing their best basketball, that this can happen. Now, in the past, that could never happen. The talent was just too one-sided. But now, plus you've got teams that are seated really low, that because they had a bad year, they probably shouldn't be seated that low. So it makes it look even worse than it is. But that's where the game is right now.
Mike?
Gino, we know you to be a really good sports fan. I mean, aside from this.
Yeah.
So you know how it goes. Teams win, teams lose. So how come what happened last night never happens here? Never.
Well, I mean, I wish this was Monday night at 10 o'clock and you were asking me that. I'd feel a lot better. You know, I like to think that generally speaking, when we show up with the best team, we tend to play our best. But that's not always going to happen. We were just having this conversation outside the hall. We're pretty hard on our guys. We're pretty hard on our kids in the middle of January, in the middle of nowhere, and we're playing a game that everybody thinks is meaningless. We're pretty hard on them, and we demand certain things. And then when you get to this time of the year, hopefully, they don't know any other way of playing. So when we started out playing the way we did today, I was taken back myself. It was, I mean, that's one of the top defensive teams in the country, right? And I knew they would have a hard time guarding Stewie and Tuck. I knew that because they're just not used to seeing players like that. But I even told him during the timeout, and I never do this. I told him during one timeout, I said, man, you guys are really good. I was just caught up in it all. I said, you guys are really good. Now, timeouts on Monday might be completely different.
Okay, we go with Rich, and then we go with Mel.
Gino,
John in the front row.
the way they played today, is that just a testament to how locked in they are and focused on what needs to be done?
Sure. I mean, we have 3 seniors that they've never lost a game in the NCAA tournament. Knock on wood. So when they show up to play in the NCAA tournament, there's no, I hope we can win. I hope we play well tonight. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to play great or they're going to win, but there's no doubt in their mind walking into the game. And that's a big part of winning at this time of the year. Just knowing that you've done it before and you know what it exactly has to be done. And that's a little different than Mississippi State coming in here their first time in this situation, a bunch of young players who are not quite sure what to expect, So it's a lot to be said for having some veteran players who are as good as, Stewie makes a couple shots early. Whatever plan they had to guard Stewie went out the window.
Mel?
Back there in '95, when you looked pretty solid to those of us who were around.
Me personally looked solid back then? What are you trying to say, Mel? I'm
Your
not solid
people.
anymore?
Your people look solid,
my
okay?
people.
But the focus on you, maybe it was when we used to joke about the 8 million things you worry about, and you started
Right.
listing them over and over
Yeah.
again. Years later now, do you go through a whole list, or maybe there's just a little list of concerns?
I got up this morning and I was as tortured or as nervous as I was in any other year in any other tournament game. That feeling is exactly the same. The things that are most prevalent right now is probably that same thing that could happen to us that happens to anybody. You don't make any shots. For whatever reason, shots don't go in. And Monday night, we could play as hard and have the same scheme and defensively be just as tough as we are tonight, and shots don't go in. So, at this time of the year, you got to be prepared for anything. But that's the number one thing that I worry about. And before the game, before introductions, as a matter of fact, I kept telling Chris Daly, man, I'm like, and she said, well, just imagine how they feel. So I kind of, our staff, I think, feels the same way as Mississippi State feels. We never go into a game with an arrogant attitude like we got this. We worry about a lot of things every game.
Front row and then Jeff.
Coach Howard Mandel, Excel Sports. So you spoke about just sort of being able to marvel with the way the team played, but specific to Brianna, just looking at a game where, even beyond the shots, where she's filling the stat sheet across the board. Were you able to sort of take a moment within this one and sort of marvel at that kind of just a half of a performance that basically no one has ever done when you think when you look across the landscape of this game?
Right. Well, every time Stewie plays the way she plays today, I do appreciate it even more. And I know I shouldn't do this, but every time she plays the way she played today, there's a point in time during the game when I go, man, this ain't going to happen next year. All these shots that are getting blocked, they're going in next year. All these buckets that we're making, they're not going to happen next year. So I didn't think like that when she was a freshman or a sophomore or junior. But, yeah, right now at this point in time, everything that she does, it hits me a little bit harder because I know I'm never going to see this again. Now, again, I said that when Diana graduated or when Maya graduated, but I don't see anybody like Stewie coming along anywhere in the near future. So I don't want to wait till it's too late to appreciate it. I'm appreciating it right now as it happens.
Jeff Jacobs, Hartford Courant. Gino, I guess to my eyes last night, I saw a Notre Dame team that didn't guard well enough, and long-term South Carolina team doesn't score enough. Could you talk a little about your demands on both ends of the court, which seems to have protected over the years from upsets? And Mississippi State coach was saying that you guys just don't get enough credit defensively. I think we all talk about your ballet offensively sometimes. Would you just talk about both ends of the court vis-a-vis huge upsets like it happened last night?
Yeah, our mantra at Connecticut's been for the longest time now, our defense is always going to give us a chance to win every game we play. So every game that we play, we're going to have a chance to win because I think defensively we're as good as any team in the country. How much we win by is predicated on our offense. And if you get a night like a day like today where our defense is really locked in and our offense is flowing like that, then you get a score like you had today. But if the shots don't go in, you still have to give yourself a chance to win. And you're right, Jeff. You're absolutely right. When people talk about our team, they talk about how hard we are to guard. But I think people overlook, and we don't go around talking about it either. We don't, make a big deal about it. But we haven't led the country in, points against, or field goal percentage, defense, or scoring margin, all that other stuff, because we don't care about defense. And it helps the fact that we get 8 or 9 really, really good players that can score, and they know that you're never going to get a chance to score unless you play at the other end. So we've been able to create that kind of culture, and it really serves us well during the NCAA tournament.
Do two more questions, Tim and the gentleman in the back.
Coach, I'm sitting next to the Texas scouts, as they're watching this game, and now Texas and UCLA are going at it. If you're playing like this, what team can even get close to you if they play at this level?
Well, I mean, that's what they said about Baylor a few years ago when Louisville beat them when they had Brittany Griner, that they just ran through the entire season and through the tournament, and nobody could come close to them. And then one bad night, and next thing you know, we're playing Louisville in the Final Four. So I like to think that today was today, and the players are going to enjoy it today, but tomorrow's a whole new challenge. Monday's a whole new challenge. There are some teams that your defense is perfectly situated to be able to stop everything that they're doing. And then there's some other teams that your defense is going to struggle because of what the other team does. And every game is a new experience. Yeah, if we play like we played today, I feel good about Monday night. If you tell me, Coach, don't worry about it, you're going to play exactly like you played today, I feel even better about Monday night. But that's why we're going to have to play the game.
One more in the back.
Coach Andy Lee, WTVA Television in Tupelo, Mississippi. You and Vic shared a nice moment after the game. To the gist of what did you tell him and what did he tell you?
I've known Vic a long time, and he does a fabulous job. I mean, I know where the program was, I think, before he took over and where it is today in a real short period of time. So I have a lot of respect for him and the way he coaches. His guys play really hard. So after the game, obviously he's disappointed at the way they played. And I said, honestly, Vic, when we play like this, I don't think there's anything anybody can do. So it's no reflection on your team or anybody on your team. That when we do what we did today, that's not a true reflection of Mississippi State. That's just a reflection of how good we were today.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.